right, we're back. Chris Vernon Show. Oh, I'm so excited. Sharif Abdur-Rahim is here in studio. He's the president of the NBA G League, and big event going on down in Southaven tonight because the G League Ignite is in town featuring Scoot Henderson. They're going to be playing against the Hustle for the next 2 nights. Thanks for coming in, man.
Chris, thank you for having me.
I'm going to try to, one of my goals is going to be now, I'm going to tell you 2 things that are crazy. Number 1, I think my last year, I think we're virtually the same year. I was a little younger. I was in high school, and I went to the McDonald's All-American game. That's where I'm from.
Yeah.
I went in St. Louis, and by the time it's all said and done, I'm going to try to have gotten all the guys at that point because KG's been in here.
Yeah.
Vince Carter's been in here. Now Sharif Abdur-Rahim, I got to get God Sham God. He was Sham God Wells at the time.
Yeah.
But I tell people all the time.
Have you gotten Ryan Roberts? That should be the easiest.
Ryan Robertson, right?
He's a St. Louis guy.
He is a St. Louis guy. But I mean, that was one of the most unbelievable.
That was a great game.
I mean, Chauncey Billups was in there. Ron Mercer.
Yeah.
There's a million, right? Like your high school McDonald's All-American class is crazy.
Antoine Jamison.
Yep.
Tractor Trailer, God bless him. Albert White, Lou Bullock. I mean,
crazy.
SEC, Southern people in the South. B.J. Mackey.
Oh, yeah.
Rodney Hood.
You remember all of them.
Did y'all say Marbury?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, Stephon Marbury.
Stephon Marbury.
Marbury.
Paul Pierce.
Jelani McCoy.
Paul Pierce was in there.
Paul
a lot
Pierce.
of Hall of Famers.
Yeah, it was very, very, again, our high school class was really good.
Loaded. And the other thing was, at the beginning of the show today, I said, I don't think I've been around Sharif Abdur-Rahim except when the Grizzlies first moved here. I had just started, I was working at a radio station, and the radio station guy's like, go over to the Fox and Hound. It's like this sports bar here in town. And he's like, they're doing something with the Grizzlies moving here. He didn't even know what was going on. Yeah. And I ended up going over there, and I ended up having to interview you and Sidney Lowe. They had brought you guys in town to
that?
Yes, I was
so
there.
It was I got, obviously I got traded.
Right.
Draft night, going into the year when the Grizzlies came to Memphis. But I, say a month before that, I came here part of the kind of group that was just talking about and promoting and, doing a lot of the legwork for bringing the team to Memphis, not knowing that I would get traded draft night. But, yeah.
How wild is it to see now those uniforms, which, of course, the Grizzlies brought back, so hot that now your throwback has got to be one of the highest selling throwbacks.
The thing that is, amazing about that is one is really cool because I have a son and a daughter, and so for them to see people wearing my jersey, they weren't around then.
Right.
But for them to see that many folks wearing my jersey or even those jerseys from that era that they recognize is really cool. A couple years ago, I think the Memphis Grizzlies did like a throwback night, and they did our court. They did the court from old GM Place in Vancouver, and that was really cool. And then the thing my wife and I always joke about is how we didn't love the teal ones. We didn't love them.
You didn't
at the time. We had the teal ones and we had the white original ones, and then we had the black that came my 3rd year, and we loved the black. And whenever we would travel, we would always ask Scott, our equipment guy, he's in Toronto now, we would ask him hey, would you pack the black one? He's like, yeah, but they make us, you gotta wear the teal one. So
you guys didn't even like
we
the
didn't
teal.
love it. We didn't love the teal at the time, and it's amazing how cool. Now it's really.
You could. I guarantee you, there's one down at the team store right now.
They're very cool now. But at that time, we we were all the time we loved the black ones. The black ones came 2 or 3 years into our time there, and we wanted to wear the black ones every road trip.
And who would have ever guessed that now we're this many years, there were 20 years down the road,
no doubt.
And there's all these people that have an awareness of your career that might not otherwise simply because the jersey, like, who is Abdul-Rahim? And
Yeah,
then they
very-
go and look it up, and they're like, oh my God.
I was not in charge of branding and marketing. whoever
got
was
lucky.
doing that got it right. So yeah.
All right, so now let's talk about how you got into the job that you have now. Post-career, what are you thinking you're going to do?
Well, I didn't. I thought I'd go. I'd go home and be with my family. I thought I'd move back to Atlanta. I finished my career in Sacramento, and at the time, I kind of ended. Not abruptly. I feel like I had a full career. I played 12 seasons, but I still had a year or two left on my contract, and my knees started acting up. So I retired or ended like right before a season.
And
started.
you're at that point young, mid-30s.
Yeah, so like
right?
31.
31.
And I was expecting to play that season. It just got to the point where my knee was bothering me so much. I went and spoke to management and told them I couldn't. And I'm really thankful to the Kings organization. Jeff Petrie, Wayne Cooper, that they're like, okay, and they asked me to kind of stay around the team, help with some of the young guys, coach, and they had drafted. Jason Thompson and Spencer Haas, just spend some time with them, help them. And, I thought about it. I was like, okay, I'll just do it, for this season, and then we'll figure out. My kids were already in school. And that just, what they did for me is, one, they kept me around the game, which was really cool. But they opened up the organization in a way where I was able to coach and add value there. I was able to learn from them what they were doing on the front office side. A guy named John Reinhardt, who was the CFO then, and is the team president of the Kings now. He allowed me to come over and talk to him about the business, and he would take me to lunch, and it just opened me up to really wanting to be a part of the business of sport. And that turned into me being assistant general manager with the Kings. I ran the G League team when the Stockton Kings were in Reno. I oversaw that. Went back to the league office and had a position in league operations, overseeing the NBA game and what goes on the court. And then, 4 years ago, had the opportunity to come over to the G League, and it's been great. I think it's been, part, my experience as a player and in the front office, me getting to understand our teams and helping our teams grow, helping the league grow, and then having the opportunity to kind of innovate, try new things, and really, grow the league in a way that our players and the teams can really be proud.
So tell me about the NBA job. Before you moved into your role with the NBA G League, what's the NBA job? What are you having to do?
So that's league operations. So that's everything, interfacing with our officials, our rules, competition committee. Where you see the rules being tested in the G League, I was a part of, kind of this is evaluating what's going on in the game and the health of the game and the competition on the floor.
So you're just learning everything.
So I was, I had, again, coming from the team side and understanding that to, now at the league office and, understanding, reviewing fines, reviewing plays, sitting with the competition committee, what are the type of plays, during my time there, some of the plays that were, travels and, it's when the guys would, you had a kind of a group of guys who started like hooking players, so like being a part of those processes and understanding, is where the kind of the draft odds were balanced out. So I got to be a part of all of that and evaluating all of those type of processes.
So who comes to you about the G League thing, or is this something that you are thinking? Because you've got a job in the NBA office, and so here is this opportunity to help run this G League. Do they come to you and say, hey, would you have interest in this? Or was that something that you had your eye on once you had, because you clearly had some understanding of the way the G League worked from your time in Sacramento with the Reno team and helping with that. But at that point, you've got a good NBA job, right?
Yeah.
Like you're in the league office, and so
the guy who was overseeing the G League, the president of the G League at that time was Malcolm Turner. He was leaving to go be the athletic director at Vanderbilt. And, Mark Tatum, who's the deputy commissioner, he oversees, all of the, league operations, marketing operations, the different global regions around. the NBA as well as the affiliate leagues, NBA, WNBA, and so forth. And, he and I were on a trip, visiting one of the academies. We were opening an academy in Africa, and we just started talking about it. He asked me, what I thought about it, the opportunity, and he told me, how about, meeting with some of the different leaders around the NBA in the coming weeks, and I did that. And then he and I visited again. He's like, what you think? He thought that I could do it, and where the league was at the time, he thought it was kind of in position for me to help take it to the next level. And we talked through, what I thought were the challenges, opportunities, and I felt like it was, I had, I've gone through playing, working on the team side. I kind of left for a couple years and went to business school. I'd come to the league office and, kind of understood how the league office worked, how our teams work. In between that, I had, when I was in business school, I'd interned in, one of the departments at the NBA, Team Bowl, that, helps teams run their teams better, the business of their teams better. So when I really looked at it, Chris, at that time, I felt like it was like the perfect opportunity for me to take the different experiences that I kind of acquired throughout my career and apply them. And, obviously there are going to be some learnings, there's still some learnings and challenges, but I felt like, the support was there for that. And then I had something to contribute to the game, to players. And, it's been great. Not easy, but it's been wonderful.
So you get the big job, and now you go to the office,
The
right? Now,
tough job. I don't know if it's the big job.
Yeah, but now I'm the president of the G League, and so it's like, all right, first matters at hand. Here's my ideas. Here are things that I think we need to do in the G League.
It
like,
wasn't.
what were
Well, I'll tell you what. I started my first year one. I started mid season. So I started like in January. So we were like, we were already in the middle of the season. So I'm just trying to keep everything rolling. Trying not to mess anything up. March of February, March of my second year is COVID.
Ugh.
Right? So we shut down right before our playoffs. My third year is our bubble year. And then last season,
do you still have all the same ideas
Yeah,
that you had when you first got the job?
So a big part of it has been, managing and working through challenges and trying to just figure things out. Some of the things that we've done in that time, and we launched Ignite in the middle of COVID, right? We tested rules. So, we got target score this year, coaches challenge, transition take foul. We went to our kind of split season where we have our showcase cup, and then that culminates at winter showcase where teams can win $100,000.
Right.
We implemented that, and then we have our second half of the season. So we've done a lot. We've launched 2 teams. So we have a team in Mexico City now, have G League Ignite in Henderson, Nevada. So 4 years, like, we've done a lot, but I feel like this may be the first season where we have some normalcy since I've started. And in a lot of ways, it's just been working and leading through different challenges.
All right, so let's kind of go through those one by one. First, let's go to the G League Ignite. That's the team that is in town tonight. Most of the mock drafts have Scoot as the number 2 pick in the draft, so he is very, very, very highly regarded. Jalen Green was a massive success for you guys, as have some other guys. The vision for what that team was going to be, and even I will tell you, yesterday, ESPN dropped like a 2024 mock draft. The number 1 player is a kid that is projected to be playing it, right? The G League Ignite. So how the G League Ignite has unfolded versus kind of what the dream or the vision was for what that was going to be.
I mean, things have changed in that time, just in that landscape, right? But where it came from, the birth of it came from a place where the grassroots space or pre-NBA, pre-college space was a mess, right? Where you had Congress talking about all the things that were going on in basketball and reviewing some of the different shoe company situations, and essentially asked that the NBA have a place for not young at that time, 18-year-olds, high school kids not being able to go directly to the NBA, and they still can't, but that the NBA have a place, have a solution for young men that were looking for other opportunities. So you had, we had R.J. Hampton and LaMelo Ball go to Australia. And, we started as a place to say, okay, we should have an alternative for, at that time, these best young domestic prospects, that if they want to come and, prepare for the NBA, they can come here to the G League. We felt like we had the infrastructure. Player development is, at the heart of our, purpose. We have the teams. We understand and know how to help develop players on the court and off the court. That's where it started. Since then you have, transfer portal, you had NIL, you have all these other, which is a good thing where young players have options and, they can, monetize their likeness and so forth. So I think it's evolved. You saw, even this season, it's not only, young men like Scoot, but Leonard Miller. Last year, Dyson Daniels. A young man from Paris, City Sissoko. We have a young man from our Africa Academy, Babacar Sene. So I think, what is evolving into is these best young prospects from around the world have an opportunity to come and prepare for the NBA through Ignite.
Do you see it in the future? Do you see it as a one-team thing still that will have a presence within the G League as it does right now? Or do you think that as time goes on, I'm going to look up in the future and this is going to be – is the goal to make a minor league for the NBA, like a true minor league for the NBA?
In many ways, I feel like that's, you just look at the number of players, unaffiliated players that play in the G League.
It's so much better than it was even like 3-4 years ago.
So,
it really
you
is.
Look at the talent across the G League and the diversity of it, right? Whether it's, we were talking before, whether it's Kennedy Chandler, Zaire Williams, or, David Stockton, who they have, totally their paths and trajectory in the, within the NBA.
What was it, 2 weeks ago? It was Shabazz Napier and Jahlil Okafor were
right?
here. It's
So,
like, what?
Yes, so it's just different. Two, your Scoot Hendersons and London Johnsons who are on Ignite. Do I think younger players will have a larger presence across the G League? 100%, because I think that, it's a good chance that, those players will continue one way or the other, continue to find their way to the G League. You just see how we've had in the G League this year, we've had 15 first-round picks just from the 22 draft, just from this past draft assigned to the G League. That's like double what we've had in the past. Usually first-round picks aren't assigned. It's the second-round picks, it's two-way players. We've had, just from this draft, so that's not even counting, Zaire, who is, for example.
Right, top 10.
Yeah, he's top last year, right? So we've had him, Jonathan Isaac, who was a lottery pick. So you just look at, that kind of, that traction, I think that continues.
No, I was going to say, I remember the first year I called, my very first hustle game that I called, a lot of these guys, I knew their names from college, the guys that played at big schools. But I've told the story. We got to the first time out. I took off my headset, and I look at my buddy, my guy calling the game with me. I go, who in the hell is Torrey Craig? Because he is killing us right now. I think he hit like 35 in the game, and then
He's a starter for Phoenix,
Torrey
right?
Craig's got a career.
Oh,
He's
yeah.
got a look. And then another one I saw right off the bat, and now he's got a $90 million contract. He hadn't played very much lately, is Duncan Robinson.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I saw Duncan Robinson.
You just see that. I think that's, the Seth Currys and
The margin is so thin between the amazing G
Yeah.
League player and a guy that ends up with $90 million in the
yeah,
NBA.
it's, we go around, Quinn Cooks and
Yep.
players that have started with us and gone on and done great things. I think it speaks for itself, and the opportunity that the league provides. It's outstanding.
How about using it as a petri dish for those rule changes and kind of the impact? Is it always when I see the Elam ending, when I see the midseason tournament, when I see the take fouls, when I see the what is it, the free throw where there's only one to make two,
Yeah,
right?
and then one to make three.
Are those all like test runs to see if we would like it in the NBA, or are they, hey, this is a different product, and for the sake of, it doesn't need to be exactly like the NBA, and some of these things can help speed the game up, and some of these things, whether it's a coach's challenges or whether it's a take foul or the one free throw to make two or whatever it may be. Or are those all like from discussions you have with the league office to say, hey, let's try this because this may be something we want to use on the next level?
Yeah, I mean, it's a balance.
Okay.
I think, you see things like, transition fouls, right? Like, I mean, we knew several years ago. So the transition take foul penalty shots had been in the NBA.
Oh, it's
been
so
in
good.
the G League,
It's so good for it
right?
to be gone.
and it's been in the G League like the past 4 years. So
Right.
It gave. So then when you got to the place when it went to the competition committee, you had data to say, okay, like this is how having the penalty shots. This is how it's impact the G League, and this is so you can test it and see it. Things like 1 for 2 free throws. That's a little more provocative. And from a G League standpoint, we say, hey. Let's try this. Or, we may have from our NBA, strategy group, innovation group, they may come to us, what do you guys think about doing the target score for the entire fourth quarter at Showcase for all the games?
Yeah.
Just to, again, like aggressive. That's something that's aggressive. But we think for our league, we should be trying things. We should find those things. 1 for 2 free throws is a great example. As like a basketball guy, I resisted it. I was like, no, this is like just upsetting my basketball nature, right?
Right.
But like when I watch the game, you almost forget that
You do.
that
You do.
You're shooting 1 for 2 free throws. So I think it's a balance. Where it starts is always how can we looking at ways to improve the game, and not doing anything that disrupts the integrity of the game. We never want to do anything that's disrupting the integrity of the game. How can we improve the game? How can we do things that has a positive impact? Some people would debate the 1 for 2 free throws, but we think on balance, it gives us 1 for 2 free throws, the target scoring in overtime. It gives us a different twist.
Well, let's do
And I
the
like
Elam
it.
ending, right? Like your evaluation of it, what the data has said thus far, and then kind of how the NBA feels about that. Because I will tell you, as a viewer, I watch the games. Roser's calling the games, and
You've had a lot of them this year.
Yeah.
They have had a lot of them.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so exciting.
It's fun.
It is so exciting.
I like it. The when we did it at Showcase for the entire fourth quarter, there were some things, coaches strategy-wise, coaches didn't know, they were unclear or uncomfortable. Okay, when do I keep my guys in? When do I take them out? If you just think of a fourth quarter, usually I might put my guy in at the 8-minute mark and let him run the rest of the time.
Oh, but if there's a target score.
You don't, you start getting players tired. But I think for that overtime where it's like, 1st to 7, I think it's outstanding.
Could you see a day where the NBA has that?
Well, I mean, I think the one thing that we've seen from the NBA, from Adam and Mark Tatum, is like we have an open mind to trying to find ways to improve the game. Again, without kind of upsetting the integrity, but to improve the game. So I think if we get to a place where where the competition committee, the governors feel like it's something that would improve the game, and fans are into it, it's something that would be under consideration. But the fact that we have it in the G League, 100%,
I love it.
We're evaluating it.
I have thought the Elam ending for over. I don't know if you could ever do it for the fourth quarter in the NBA, just because now you're talking
Right.
about
Records
and that would be the issue with the free throw thing to me with the NBA,
remember,
the 1 for 2.
The first place it was in, we did it.
All-Star.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was great.
Yeah, so.
It's fantastic for overtime. I love it. I mean, can you imagine a playoff game where?
Oh, 1st to 7.
Say you want to extend. You don't want to make it say because it's got to be an odd number, right?
Well, I mean, 7 came from. I want to say the average number of points in overtime was, somewhere between like 10 and 8 or something like that. So
Okay.
10, it wasn't like just a random number.
I was curious about that. I didn't know that. That's how y'all came to 7. Okay.
Same thing like in our showcase, it was like 20, I think 28, 26, 24, but that was like the average fourth quarter score. So it was like plus that. So, it's always some data, some, something to support what we're trying to do. We're not just throwing something at the wall.
Yeah. So right now, when you look at the G League, and it has become more and more prevalent that we're getting more players out of there, more teams are utilizing the G League than ever before. They are owned and operating. They're in this vicinity. I mean, we see the hustle guys around here all the time. They're obviously playing their games right down the road. What is the next step? Like when you're talking about the vision for the G League, how does it grow? How does it get even better than it is right now? Like, what's the trajectory?
Yeah, I think we're 30 teams, but we're 28 teams that are 1-to-1 NBA teams. So, Phoenix doesn't have a team, Portland doesn't have a team. So, getting those teams on is 100% a priority, and we want all of the NBA teams to have G League teams. We want to continue to be the best place in the world to prepare for the NBA, and obviously that's players, but that's our officials. All the officials now come through the G League. That's coaches. Taylor Jenkins, here with the Grizzlies, he's a former G League coach.
I just saw Quinn Snyder might get the Atlanta job. That's where they, right?
Former G League coach. And then we think with all of our teams, we have a great opportunity to develop the next generation of fans, to engage with community. I mean, you think, right here in Memphis, in this area, young, if you're a young kid, maybe you can't go to a Memphis Grizzly game, but you can go to a hustle game. You can afford to go to a hustle game. So I think it's a way for us to, engage community and just continue to grow the game. And, with all, your show, we talked about it earlier, your show is an example. With all of the different ways that people are engaging with content, engaging with games, it gives us the ability, and we're a little more flexible, meaning the G League, it gives us the ability to, be all over the world, to have our games and to spread the game all over the world.
What are you most proud of now regarding the league?
That we've been able to, just the opportunities that we're able to provide for, our players. We're like, when I see we're like 30-plus guys being signed from, and this is like G League contracted players signed from the G League so far this season to the NBA and counted. To be in place last season when it was, that really just important time, 100-plus, players signed from the G League to help the NBA. What we saw at All-Star Weekend with Mac and the Rising Stars and Next Up game, the opportunity that we can provide to G League players that, have that dream of playing in the NBA.
It keeps and it also gets them in your league rather than going and trying to search for the money. They're trying to make it whole, right? And I know you guys have improved the salaries a great deal over the course of the last couple of years to where these guys are making more money than they did. And so if you're chasing the dream, right, that like, all right, I am, like we just had a couple weeks ago, one of the great three-point shooters in the league, Dusty Hannas, who became a friend of ours when he was playing for the Hustle. He got a cup of coffee with the Grizzlies. He went over and played that year in Australia just because his agent was like I mean, it's a lot of money. Yeah. And he goes over there. Now he's back. He's like, you know what? I'm going to give it one more crack at going to the NBA. And that's kind of the signal, right? It's like, yeah, he went and made the money in Australia, but if he's going to give it one more crack to go to the NBA, he's going to go play for the Warriors team, right?
The proximity here of playing in the G League, the opportunity you have as a player, to be, again, as a league, to be able to provide that opportunity to our players, to people, is the thing that, we celebrate, we're really proud of. And it's as a human interest, story, idea that, I think everybody appreciates grinding and trying and pursuing your goals. And I mean, that's so relatable with our players.
Absolutely. And the other thing is, I think my opinion is the perception has changed so dramatically, even just in the last 4 or 5 years, that it was like, that was, and I don't mean this in a bad way, but players would feel like humiliated, or they would feel like, oh, I'm getting sent down to the G League, Yeah. And now,
well, I mean, think about it. I mean, again, like you got a coach here in Memphis that coached in the G League.
Oh no, they view it so much differently.
Right?
Like Xavier Tillman will start tonight against Joel Embiid in Philadelphia because Steven Adams isn't back, right? Xavier Tillman was told before the season, hey, man, you're not really going to be in the rotation for the Grizzlies, okay? He went to them and said, can I go play for the Hustle? Went down for the Hustle. He's grabbing like 17 points, 14 rebounds. He's killing it, got this amazing attitude, stayed ready. Steven Adams goes down. Now the guy's starting in Philly. You know what I mean?
And so, I mean, I think the players see the opportunity. And, I mean, it's just been so many examples of, players being able to leverage their time in the G League to ascend. I think the talent has changed. So these young players, whether they're young, Michael Foster, for example, he's with us with Ignite. He's in Delaware. Matt McClung, Sharif Cooper. Like these are really talented young players that to the again like Zaire Williams, like that talent, like that's emerging talent. That's not overlooked talent. That's talent that someday is going to be a really good, Pascal Siakam, was in the G League. Chris Middleton was in the G League. So I think, there's so many examples now of players being in the G League and using their time in the G League to get better. Whereas maybe in years past, that guy was a 3-year, 4-year college player. Now he's like maybe a year in college or no college, and he's growing up through our league, and people get to see that, firsthand.
Fred VanVleet, CJ McCollum.
Oh, yeah.
I got a picture we want to show you.
Oh.
See, you remember this one?
Yeah, I tell you, man, it's like
look at that draft class, man.
That's like the bane of my existence. My mother never lets me forget this.
Look at that draft class.
Because it's like
and cut out of the picture Steve Nash. He's on the other end of the picture.
So this is my draft class, but I'm not in the picture.
You're not in that one, but you are in the other one.
Yeah, I'm not in. No, I'm in the one that they put on, like that's on the Slam.
Yeah.
But
you're in the
if you
Slam
look at
one.
that picture, that's my draft, and I'm not in the picture.
Why?
So why? So why is Iverson not in this one? Because Iverson's not in this one.
Because he didn't. So this was, people don't know this. Like it became so legendary. This was like at rookie combine, like if you see Carrie's in like running shoes. So what it was, Kobe's hand behind his back because he had a cast on. What it was is we were all together at NBA rookie transition, and then like one of the days they came to guys and said, somebody upper deck or somebody wanted to do like a card signing, or like photo shoot for cards, and we all went, and AI he didn't, He just didn't go. AI didn't. I saw something recently the NBA did, and he said he don't know what he was doing. He didn't show up. He didn't come, so he wasn't in this.
What a great moment though that on that picture you say Kobe's arm is intentionally behind his back because he's got a cast on.
He has a cast on, and
you can't see his other arm. It's true.
Yeah.
Oh, that's wild.
Yeah. So I mean, they had our uniforms and stuff there, but then in the actual draft day picture, I missed the bus going, like, they take you, everybody from the hotel to the draft. I think ours was at Meadowlands. I was like running. I got a good friend that's from New York, and he was like showing me around New York all day.
So you were sightseeing.
I'm running around, different boroughs.
And you missed the draft class photo?
I'm serious. I'm in Harlem. I'm in Brooklyn. I'm just running around. I had never been to New York, so I get to the draft. I missed the bus. I get to the draft late. And I missed it. Think about it. I'm not in the picture. And my mom, like, every time she sees it, she's like, just.
She hasn't forgiven you.
Mad at me. Because they were on the bus. They're sitting, I get to the green room and everybody's just sitting there looking at me like, really?
Where were you?
Oh, that is amazing. What a story.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, you still went third. They didn't red flag you for it.
No, they
still.
Okay, so look, last thing. These two games that are going on tonight and then tomorrow night in Southaven. I'm going down there because Scoot Henderson's playing, right? My son is 13. Last night I said, hey, Friday night, you want to go down there? Scoot's going to be there. Oh, of course. He knows. And so you knew when you guys are signing this kid up that you knew what kind of a prospect he is.
Yeah,
but
I mean,
it's got to have even blown past all expectations.
Yeah, look, I mean, even if you go look at like, any projections that anybody had, it was, his kids people thought were better than him. We thought he was really good. At the time, Rod Strickland was kind of overseeing the program, and he thought he was a really special talent. What he's been able to do in the year and a half, 2 years he's been with the G League has been really special. You can't project that he has the maturity, the humility. He's such a good teammate. He's such a hard worker. He's so competitive. I mean, those things, those about any young person, you don't have enough information about him. So we're thrilled what he's been able to do. Him and again, we got you got Leonard Miller, who from Canada, really good player. Sidi Sissoko, Babacar Sene. We just a lot of Mojave King, really good talent on that group. But Scoot is he's leading the class, and he deserves it. He's doing an outstanding job, and I think it's good for them and for the team, but it's good for our league.
Oh God, especially just on the backs of the Jalen thing.
Yeah.
Because Jalen has proven to be, if you can prove that, like, hey, this is good for you, and it's not going to, and in fact may help your draft stock by playing against these guys, and that it is going to better prepare you for the next level. Having those 2 top 3 draft picks in a couple years' time,
and Kuminga,
huge. Yeah. Oh yeah, Kuminga too.
Yeah.
But I think all of the guys, Deshaun Nix, like he's a better, he's more prepared going through, being in the G League and being with our guys. Jonathan Kuminga, I think you can't duplicate it from our league is tough.
Yeah.
Nobody about it, and the guys they take it. When they play the other teams, when Ignite plays the other teams, they know something is at stake as well. So.
Well, like that kid's got a target on him.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Oh,
and you're playing the number 1 team in the West tonight.
Oh, the golden child's here, right? The number 2 pick in the draft, right?
Good team.
He gets everybody's best, I guarantee it.
Yeah.
Right?
No doubt.
Because they got big crowds, bigger crowds than what they would normally have, and they know that people have showed up to see this kid, and so the other team gets fired up. So it's good preparation for him.
Yeah, it's good, and it's good again. Like it's good for our league.
Yep. Sharif, thanks for coming in, man.
Yes, thank you for having me.
He is Sharif Abdur-Rahim. He's president of the G League. That's